Who remembers what we were talking about when we were doing children's sermons? Moses, right? You remember Moses, Katerina? Okay. And where was Moses when we left him? Moses had just got back to Egypt, and he had gone to the Pharaoh and said, just let the children of Israel go for a few days out into the wilderness to offer sacrifices. And what did Pharaoh say? Pharaoh said, I do not know your God, neither will I let your people go. Right? And Moses said, well, God told me to show you that I have authority and that He is truly God with the staff. And he put the staff on the ground and it turned into a snake. You remember this story? And the Pharaoh had his magicians come out and say, well, that's an easy trick, we can do that. And they had their staffs too, and they turned them into snakes. And you remember what happened next? Do you remember? Well, Moses' snake ate the other snakes, right? And then Moses picked it up again, he grabbed it by the tail, and it turned into the staff again. But Pharaoh said, nope, I am not going to let the people go. And who knows what happened next? Natalia. What happened next after the snakes? You've seen Prince of Egypt, right? One word I'm looking for. Plagues. Now, why do you think God did plagues in Egypt? Is He mean? Is He angry? We have to think about this. What do you think, Sophia? Maybe He's angry. He seems angry. They're kind of unpleasant plagues. I don't think He's angry, though. I think there's a point to this that it's hard for us to see. So, who were the Egyptians? What did they do? Specifically, who did the Egyptians worship? Well, the answer is the Egyptians worshiped pretty much everything and everybody except the one true God. They worshipped the river, they worshipped the cows, they worshipped the crocodiles, they worshipped they worshipped the frogs, they worshipped the harvest, they worshipped everything except God. So, the plagues aren't just plagues. Because what did Pharaoh say at the beginning? He said, I do not know your God. I don't recognize His authority. He is not the boss of me. This is what Pharaoh is saying. Right? Make sense? So what does God do? Through Moses, He says, well, let us show Pharaoh who is the boss of the river and the harvest and the sun and the moon and the animals and everything that he worships. Make sense? Okay. Let's put it in modern terms. Let's say the priest says, let's say the priest says, you all spend too much time on the internet, on the phone, watching TV, and God doesn't want you to. I'm not saying that, by the way, but let's just say, right? And let's say that we, as human beings, say, I don't think God's real enough for me to stop watching TV and put my phone away. And we carry on doing our normal life. We watch our TV shows, we Snapchat on our phone or whatever we're doing these days, right? MySpace. Is MySpace still a... I was going to say, what? MySpace was dead when I was coming onto the internet. Good grief. Okay. Now, So say we all go home, ignoring what the Lord says, and go along our merry way. And all of a sudden, the TV signal cuts out. And it's just static. Any of you even seen static on a TV? Okay, good. I'm not that old. Right. And we can't get a channel to save our life. And let's say the priest says, we'll restore the channels if you all will start to worship God. And the channels come back, and we all keep on doing our standard thing. We watch our TV shows, and we don't come back to church. Again, this is an analogy, okay? So God says, okay, I'm going to take your phones away if you don't do this. And we say, nah, not going to happen. And then we pick up our phone, we take it out, and it blows up in our face. Okay? This would be weird, but this is what the Egyptians would have experienced. Everything that was at the core, at the center, at the foundation of their lives, and everything that's normal, these are the things that God is taking away brick by brick. And every time Pharaoh calls Moses in and says, I was wrong, I'm sorry, you can go, just please turn the sun back on. And Moses says, okay. Through your request, may the Lord accomplish what you have asked. And then the next day, the sun is back on, and Moses goes and says, nope. And the Pharaoh says, nope, I don't know your God. I will not let your people go. You'd think he'd get the point, right? So, understand this. When the plagues are happening, it's not just that God is angry, although he looks that way. You're right, Sophia. God is saying, you don't understand the way the world works. You're completely missing the point. You can't worship the river or the sun or the cow or the crocodile and not recognize the one who made these things. This won't help. It won't work. Your life will not be peaceful. So listen, I'm going to turn the river to blood for a little while. I'm going to bring a plague of flies and they'll eat the harvest. I'm going to kill all the cows. So you understand. So you listen. But then they don't listen. So this is the problem. It's not mean quite. There's more going on. Does that sort of make sense? Okay. So